So, pretty much, this is kind of what happens in the brain when somebody experiences like a traumatic event, like a truly traumatic event. So like basically in the brain we have this brain structure called the amygdala. So the amygdala is basically like the most primitive aspect of our brain. Like it's all about survival. That's all it cares about. There's no logic. There's no reasoning, anything like that. It's just survival. Um, so essentially, when you experience a traumatic event, your amygdala becomes like hyperactivated to help you like survive. But after the traumatic event, like it's still essentially hyperactivated. So I drew three pictures of like an amygdala here. And you see these little squigglies. These are like receptors. Basically, in layman's terms, the fewer receptors you have, the less active it is. The more receptors you have, the more active it is. So before you experience a traumatic event, you just have these few little receptors, and then during the traumatic event, when you're in fight or flight mode, essentially, your amygdala becomes like metaphorically, it's on fire. But it's actually a good thing because it's helping you survive. So, like, say you're driving down the road, deer jumps out in front of you, you automatically spike the brakes. That wasn't a conscious reaction. That was your amygdala protecting you. That was your amygdala reacting. And so, say, combat, our guy, that you're going to be talking about from Luthersburg, when he was getting shot at or seeing people die or killing people, maybe he almost died, whatever, his amygdala is fired up. And that's a good thing. That helps him survive, So, like, basically, like, if you have ever like been in a car crash, like if you're like driving down the road and all of a sudden you start spinning out, it's almost like things slow down. It's like you're moving in slow motion. That's because your amygdala is fired up, and that's giving you time. It's like heightening your senses. It's helping you process things more clearly. Like here, well, like about a month ago, I was on my way to work and it was raining really hard out. And this guy, he went to pass me in the right lane when we were going around a turn, and he hydroplaned and he slid into me and spun me out. And like it was like I was in slow motion. In reality, I was probably only spinning out for like 2 or 3 seconds, but for whatever reason, like I just reactively like threw the car into reverse to keep it from hitting the guardrail head on. Like I didn't consciously do that. That was because fight or flight. When grandma picked the tractor up off of you, that was fight or flight. That heightening our senses so we can react, and a way is all reactionary. The amygdala is like I said, it's extraordinarily primitive. So like it takes about 1/20th of a second for your amygdala to react to a situation, and it takes about 1 to 2 to 3 seconds for us to start to like consciously, intelligently like think and process what's going on. So that's where you have a problem, because the brain, after the fight or flight, remember, it rapidly grew all these receptors to help you deal and process, and that's really good. But the problem becomes after the fact, we're left with all these receptors, and we're essentially walking around in fight or flight mode all the time. And so now, like, even like the slightest, loud boom, for example, you're automatically hitting the deck and taking cover. And then by the time your, intelligent, brain sort of kicks in and starts consciously processing it, you're like, oh man, I'm an idiot down here, because it only took 1/20th of a second for your amygdala to go boom. Oh, that means I'm getting shot at. I'm about to get killed, and you're hitting the ground. And then by the time you start to intelligently think about it, you're like, ah, dang it, like I look like an idiot. So that's kind of PTSD in a nutshell.